Hey guys, this is Lala Legacy, and welcome back to another episode of Cinderella Phenomenon. So, before we jump in, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button because that would mean the whole world to me. And after this video, if you liked it, hit that like button too. Alright, let's get in. There's a faraway look in his eyes as he says this, an almost pained expression on his face. His helpless expression makes the panic surge in me again. Whoops. And you call yourself a doctor? Melody, calm down. I cannot lose him, Waltz! I don't have much time left, Melody. I turn to look down at my father, my eyes filling with tears. No, no, no! Don't say that, father! I wanted to see you become queen, but it seems that this is the end for me. I collapse beside my father, and he reaches up a shaking hand to touch my wet cheek. Protect our kingdom. I can only nod at him. I will always be with you. I love you, Melody, and I am proud that you are my daughter. Father smiles at me, and it is so genuine and warm that it brings fresh tears to my eyes. His eyes slowly close, but the smile never leaves his lips. Father? I shake him, but he does not react. No! No! I lean over my father, willing him to come back, to open his eyes, but he is no longer breathing. For the first time in my life, I cry for my father. Ever since my father's death, I have locked myself in my room. I am filled with constant grief and pain, but have become numb on the inside. Even when I want to cry, the tears won't come. Melody, I brought you something to eat. I am in no mood to eat. Walt sets the tray down and walks toward me. The blankets crumple as he sits down beside me. Slowly, he wraps his arms around me and strokes my hair. What happened wasn't your fault, Melody. He did what any father would do for his daughter. He did not deserve to die the way that he did. By mother's hand. I know. I curl my fingers into Waltz's shirt. I do not want to lose anyone anymore, Waltz. Waltz continues to stroke my hair. It'll be fine, I promise. For now, you need to rest, Melody. I'll be here by your side until you fall asleep. He plants a kiss on my forehead, and I close my eyes, relishing his warmth. Waltz's hold is firm but comfortable, and I sink into his arms as I fall into a dreamless sleep. Days later, the palace announces father's death. It isn't long before Alcaster is given his crown. The announcement of his ascension comes with the explanation of the king's death. The palace paints me as a criminal, telling the townsfolk that I was the one who killed the king. I am labeled a fugitive, and the royal family is officially declared missing. We have all been hiding together since then, the royal family included. Now, it has been 2 weeks since father died. The longer time moves on, the more aware I become of one gaping realization. Mother has not yet shown herself to the public. What could she be plotting? I place my hand over my heart, willing the pain away. Every time I think of Mother, I remember the sword of light that went through my father's body. Enough time has passed. Even though I am suffering losses, I cannot stand idle. I have a promise to fulfill. I will protect our kingdom. I am about to go back to my room when Parfait calls me. Dolores stands beside her. Oops. Melody, can we talk with you? I look away, avoiding their eyes. What is it that you want to discuss with me? It's about the Tenebrarum. Despite Hildir's revival, it appears that the crystal's light is still dim. That can only mean one thing. Hildir is still weak. Still weak? Hildir was absorbing all of your powers when we found you. We interrupted the process. The crystal was not able to absorb all of the magic you now possess. That is why she is still weak. Also, there was something else that bothered me about the crystal. Something odd. Odd? The bearer has a very strong bond with their crystal, a mutual relationship of sorts, but that bond was absent when she returned. What are you saying? It seems as if the crystal is forsaking their bond. What? It seems even the crystal knows that Hildir's time has come and gone. Princess, the crystal has already chosen you as its next bearer. It's a small blessing, but it doesn't change the fact that Hildir is still the strongest witch. At least, that is what she wants us to think. Parfait and Delora exchange a glance. The crystal has chosen its next bearer, and you have just as much potential, if not even more. Delora turns to me, her usually lax expression more solemn. Are you ready to learn magic, Melody? Magic that you will potentially use to defeat your mother. I have never used magic before in my life. I have never been raised as a witch, and using magic to defeat mother, I do not know. Well, regardless of what decision you make, we'll all be here to support you. Delora and I want you to know that. How is it that they are still willing to help me when I was the one that caused this whole mess? I need some fresh air. I begin to walk toward the door when I see Ophelia walk in from the tavern. Our eyes briefly meet, and she opens her mouth to say something, then stops when I shake my head. I do not want to hear her blame me for my father's death. Certainly that must be what she is thinking. Ophelia frowns, but she does not speak. I quicken my pace, almost running as I head into the forest. The night is silent and calm, and the only sound I can hear is the gentle sway of the grass as I step through it. Mother is back because of me. If I hadn't revived her, Father would still be alive. How am I supposed to face everyone knowing that? Waltz has been trying to cheer me up. While I appreciate his company and concern, even he cannot help me come to terms with my mistakes. I hear footsteps behind me. I turn to see Waltz approaching with a frown on his face. Melody, please, I am not in the mood to listen to your reassurances again. I do not need you to tell me again that this was not my fault. Melody, your father wouldn't want to see you like this. How would you know what my father wanted? I snap at him without meaning to, not bothering to hide the irritation in my voice. He'd want you to walk forward, not linger on a past that cannot be changed. You've been distancing yourself from us since the king passed. Don't think that I haven't noticed. Why is that? Because this is the only way that I can keep them safe. Stay silent. You know that I'll always be by your side, Melody. Shouldering the burden will only worsen your pain. Worsen? I already know the pain of losing someone that I love. I have brought nothing but suffering to those around me. I cannot get close to anyone again, lest I put them in danger. I have already lost my father, and I do not want to lose anyone else. Especially not you, Waltz. Waltz's eyes widen as he stares at me. I want to show you something. Keep your eyes open, Melody. You can't miss it. Waltz snaps his fingers, and golden orbs of light suddenly spring to life around us. Oh, I love the art. Oh my god. Okay, I am so impressed with this CG here. I'm very impressed. I love the soft look on her face. I love this art. Okay. I can only marvel at the orbs of light floating around us. They look like stars dancing through the night. It's beautiful. You cannot truly appreciate how bright a star is without darkness. Walt snaps his fingers again, and most of the lights go out. During difficult times, the light grows dimmer. He snaps again, until only one light remains. When you're all alone, it grows even dimmer still. There are things that you cannot do on your own, otherwise you risk snuffing your own light out. Another snap, and the golden orbs return, this time in great numbers. The lights are brighter than they were before. You are not alone, Melody. I love you, and it hurts to see you suffer alone like this. My heart is pounding so hard I fear it might escape my chest. In this moment, it feels as if time has stopped, and it is just the two of us. All I can see is Waltz. As I stand here staring at him, I come to a realization. I love him! When did this happen? After a few moments, I realize that it does not matter. I stand up on the tips of my toes so that I can cup Waltz's face in my hands. I move before I can think, leaning over to place a light kiss on his lips. Ah! I feel an arm around me as Waltz pulls me closer. The kiss becomes more heated and I feel a gentle flame stirring in my stomach, even as my mind becomes foggy. I feel his tongue on my lips, but when I part them, he has suddenly drawn away, his face deep red. Sorry, I need to catch my breath. I feel the heat in my cheeks and have to fight back my embarrassment. I just kissed Waltz! I look up at Waltz, suddenly realizing how close he is to me. I quickly bury my face into his chest to hide my embarrassment. Waltz's chest rises and falls with his gentle laughter. You're so cute. I close my eyes, allowing his warmth to envelop me like a blanket. I love you, my little star. This is not just your battle anymore, Melody. You don't have to carry this burden alone. So please, trust in me. Trust in us. I am overwhelmed, but Waltz's words make me feel strangely light, as if a weight has truly been lifted from my shoulders. I will. Thank you. We should go back now, or else everyone might get worried. Waltz places a soft kiss on my forehead and smiles at me as he pulls away. He extends a hand toward me. Let's go, my little star. I smile as I slowly take his hand. We walk back to the march in hand, momentarily forgetting all about the bad things that have transpired. Chapter 8, Hope. Oh, that was so cute! I cannot get over that CG either, and the softness in her face. Oh my god, they captured that perfectly. Okay. It has been almost 3 weeks since Mother's revival, and yet I have not heard or seen anything of her. What are you planning to do, Mother? Parfait told me before that the Tenebrarum had already chosen me as its next bearer. Does that have anything to do with why Mother is still in hiding? Oh, excuse me. It is impossible not to feel the weight of my new responsibility. I have not yet fully accepted that I am now the bearer, but I cannot run from this responsibility for long. The Tenebrarum bearer's duty is to work alongside Parfait to balance the light and darkness of the kingdom. That balance had only just begun mending before Mother's sudden revival. For nights, I have been wondering if there is some other way to stop Mother without fighting her. A small part of me hopes that perhaps Mother can still change. I think about that, and then I remember how Mother so heartlessly killed Father as soon as she had been revived. She was sleeping for 4 years, but that did not change her mind. Even now, I can only assume that she still means to make this kingdom suffer. It feels as if my heart is twisting itself into a knot. I gasp when a bright spark fizzles to life in my hands. I clench and unclench my hands, taking deep breaths to calm myself. Ever since I started trying to work with magic, it has been activating on its own. Whenever I feel any sort of deep emotion, some type of electricity sparks in my hands. It is all I could do to try and keep my emotions in check. The last thing I want is to accidentally burn down the Marchen or hurt anyone inside of it. Delora and Waltz have both agreed to start teaching me how to use my magic. For the last few days, the forest near the Marchen has served as the training grounds. Parfait constantly cloaks the Marchen in powerful magic to keep our presence hidden from Mother and the other witches, It allows us to use our magic without worrying about being tracked. Still, Parfait's constant spell has considerably weakened her. Delora and Waltz tried to convince her not to cast it in the first place, but Parfait insisted that we remain as close to the Tenebrarum as possible, rather than move somewhere safer. She told us all that I need to be close to the Tenebrarum as its bearer. As far as we all know, the crystal is still unmoved in the palace. I know that the chance I will face Mother in a battle of magic is extremely high. Although I fear the outcome, I have no choice but to consider the possibility. Time is running out, and I do not have the luxury of waiting much longer. I must decide what I must do. They all believe that I am the only one who could stand up to Mother, even with so little practice. Last night, I told Parfait that I would make my decision the next day, and that I would tell everyone what I had decided. Now is the time for that decision. When I step into the reception room, everyone is already there waiting for me. I watch WALTZ'S eyes first. He cocks his head ever so slightly, his lips stretching into a warm smile. I nod at him and smile back. I take a deep breath before facing everyone. This is the first time that I have spoken properly with everyone since my father's death. Before I tell you of my decision, I want to apologize for everything that I have done and for everything that has happened. Mother is back because I was a coward, and Father died because I was weak. Melody. Ophelia is the first to respond. I'm gonna cry. It wasn't your fault, dear. I stare down at the ground with my hands clenched. I try to will my anger away, but only manage a few deep, stilling breaths before I look up again. I brought Mother back because I feared that disobedience would have them kill my father. Yet in the end, he was still. The image of Father's smiling face flashes through my mind. I clear my throat. I promised him that I would protect Angielle, and that is what I intend to do. I will do everything I can to protect our kingdom. Spoken like a true queen. The words were shocking, even more so when they came out of Delora's mouth. Queen? Why do you seem surprised, princess? You know you're next in line for the throne. I haven't even thought about being the next ruler. I am not even sure if I have the right qualities. Can I really do this? I wanted to see you become queen. Protect our kingdom. I cannot let Father down. I have to do this for his sake, but the kingdom comes before the crown. I will only take the crown if I can win it back. I will need your help. I am still weak, but that will not stop me from training every day until we face Mother. I hope I am not asking for too much, but I hope you will all fight with me to protect our kingdom together. You didn't even need to ask us that, Melody. It goes without saying that we'll help you in any way that we can. I second that. We'll all be here for you. I smile at everyone gathered. So, this is what it feels like to be trusted and needed. It feels good. It will be hard, but we will stop Mother. Together we might stand a chance against her. Hildyr is strong, but not invulnerable. Parfait looks at me, eyebrows furrowed. You know what we must do to stop Hildyr, princess? I feel a tinge of pain in my chest, but force my eyes to hold Parfait's gaze. I look into Parfait's eyes with determination. I do. Later that same day, I resume my training with Waltz while Parfait and Delora try to come up with a plan. Jurian and Garland return to the town to listen for any information regarding Mother and Alcaster or any happenings in the palace. I force myself to focus only on learning how to use my magic as fast as I can. Today, Waltz is continuing his lessons on barriers. He has been teaching me the same spells for the past week, emphasizing my protection. Let's review the types of barriers I've been trying to teach you. Do you remember them? One shields you from harm, while the other deflects a spell back at the caster. Powerful spells cannot be deflected. That's why you need to be able to tell which spells can be reflected and which cannot. Otherwise, you'll end up using the wrong barrier. A single mistake can cost you your life. So, how do I know what barrier I must use? Allow me to demonstrate. You've seen me cast my spells many times, so you should be able to tell the difference between them. But, for now, let's think of it as another game. Just take a guess. Who knows? You might actually give me the right answer. I'll give you a nice little treat if you do. A treat? He always did like treating me in town. It's special this time. I wonder if this is just like those other sweets he treated to me before. Walt snaps his fingers, and a glimmering but faint purple light appears around him. It is faded at first, but slowly becomes brighter as he moves his hands. Usually the effects of WALTZ'S magic are immediate, but this spell is taking longer to cast. Is it stronger magic? I remember Waltz telling me before that it takes a lot of energy to cast a strong barrier. Does that apply to offensive spells as well? Next, question time. What kind of barrier should you use? A shield. The slow casting time makes it seem like a powerful spell, and powerful spells cannot be deflected. Surely this is the right answer. Is that your final answer? My confidence is thwarted by sudden indecision. Melody, in the midst of a battle, you won't have the luxury of time to think about your decision. I look at him and nod. It should be the right answer. That is correct. Now prepare your shield. I have never shielded myself from a powerful spell. What if my barrier breaks? Trust in yourself, Melody. I do as instructed and stretch out my hands to cast a barrier to shield myself. Here I go. My hands shake as WALTZ'S spell collides with my barrier. I plant my feet to hold myself upright. Such a strong spell! When the light dissipates, I look up hesitantly, before smiling triumphantly when I see that my barrier is still in one piece. I did it! Well done, little star. I eye the barrier again. My heart sinks when I notice a few cracks in its surface. My barrier! Don't fret, Melody. Even the strongest barrier will obtain cracks after being hit by a powerful spell. That is when you set up your next barrier. Your opponent will usually make the mistake of assuming you have the same shield up and attack you with a weaker spell to try to break it. You can be ready for them with a new barrier. I nod. I'm impressed at how fast a learner you are. I have a good teacher. I think you're just a good student. So, when will you teach me offensive spells? I don't think you need to learn those quite yet. The witches we're up against will probably stick to offense, which means protecting yourself will be even more vital than trying to attack them. I told everyone that I would fight, and I meant it. If I need to hurt someone to save someone, I will do it. I look him in the eyes, my gaze unwavering. I still need to learn, even if it's just one offensive spell, Waltz. What if I need to help you? I cannot do that by just conjuring barriers. I will not lose anyone else this time, Waltz. I look up at Waltz, and my heart aches at the sight of his frown. I do not want to lose you either. That is why I need to be as strong as possible. I want to be able to protect you. Waltz makes his way over to me in just a few strides and pulls me into his arms. I will do what I can to save you from a repeat of what happened last time, Melody. But you won't lose me. Waltz pulls back and looks at me, his expression warm and gentle. Here's your treat, as promised. Huh? Waltz bends down and places his lips over mine in a soft kiss. It is a short-lived kiss, but it is still enough to make me breathless. You're all red, Melody. That was your special treat? Disappointed? I quickly press my cheek to his chest to keep him from seeing my tinted cheeks. No. Let's call it a day. You need to rest. Teach me an offensive spell first. Melody, We've been practicing since morning, and it will be dark soon. You already know that overusing your magic will take a toll on your body, especially when you're still getting accustomed to it. I shake my head at Waltz, determined. Using my magic before did wear me out, but now I can handle more. What kind of bearer would I be if I couldn't handle this much? Please, I'm begging you, Waltz. He eventually sighs and rubs the back of his neck. Okay, but just one spell. Thank you. He steps away from me. What I will teach you is a lightning spell. It's not for the faint-hearted. It will inflict excruciating pain on your enemies, and also potentially paralyze them. I nod as Waltz continues his explanation. Though I try my best to conjure the electricity, I have only managed sparks at the end of the day. I collapse onto my bed. I could feel the exhaustion lying over me like a blanket. I can barely move my arms after trying the lightning spell over and over again. I need to learn that spell as soon as possible. I yawn and then close my eyes. Sleep comes easily that night. Melody. That voice! Come back to me, my sweet princess. No! You have no choice in this, little one. You will come back to me whether you like it or not. I will be waiting for you. I sit up in my bed, my heart pounding loudly in my chest and in my ears. A dream? I wipe unexpected beads of sweat from my forehead as I calm myself with steady breaths. No, I will never go back to you, Mother. I end up waking up later than usual, a result of my practice from yesterday. When I step inside the reception room, I see Jurian and Garland speaking with Parfait, Delora, and Waltz. There is a definite solemnity to the air. They all turn to look at me as I approach. Did something happen? Princess, the palace made an announcement today. They are issuing a higher bounty on your head for murder and treason. What? It was very strange. What with the fact that they haven't even bothered to look for you since that day. Something must have happened that forced them to suddenly act. Delora soon gathers everyone in the room to discuss Jurian and Garland's discovery. The only one who is not here is Anise, who is in town buying ingredients for the merchants' meals. But Melody didn't kill anyone. Isn't there some way to convince them? Alcaster is in power now, and the people favor him. Now that everyone remembers who I am, they are once again frightened of me. No one would listen to you. They haven't seen how much you've changed. If only they could understand your circumstances, then they might be more sympathetic. I look at Melanie in surprise and find myself smiling at her. Thank you for your kind words. I turn to everyone once again and frown. Once again, I am the one putting everyone in danger. I am so sorry. If any one of them gets hurt, I will never forgive myself. Waltz takes my hand and squeezes it. The simple gesture does wonders to calm my nerves. Don't be too hard on yourself, Melody. We've told you already, we want to help you. We're in this together. He's right. I'm not sure if there is much Rod, Melanie, or I could do, but we will definitely support you until the end. Before, I might have cringed at her words, but now, Ophelia has nothing to gain from pretending. Mother is right. We're a family, and we will not abandon you. Ophelia and Melanie are both smiling at me warmly. Even Rod seems to have a ghost of a smile on his face. Thank you. I apologize for bringing this up, Karma, but is it possible to ask for reinforcements from Brigantia? Brigantia? Brigantia is one of our neighboring kingdoms. We have never had close ties, mostly because Brigantia's king tends to stay away from our personal and political affairs. They have always refused to engage in any sort of violent affairs. We all look at Karma, who stands there looking sullen. After a few moments, he lets out an exasperated sigh. You want me to ask the kingdom of Brigantia for help. I remember Karma mentioning before that he was part of a noble family, but I did not expect him to be from Brigantia. What is he doing here, and how could he possibly ask for help from a king? The king does not participate in battles or skirmishes. It seems unlikely that he would provide support. He wouldn't provide assistance, not even if his own son asked him. Son? You mean? Karma crosses his arms and sighs. Well, I suppose there's no use hiding it anymore. Yes, I am the son of King Clement of Brigantia. Judging from the sudden quiet in the room, it seems that Parfait, Delora, Waltz, and the knights were the only ones that knew. You're the Lost Prince? The Lost Prince! Gennaro told me that King Clement's oldest son had disappeared just a year ago. There were circumstances. My family never knew I had the fairy tale curse. I was forced to leave the kingdom so that I could come here to break my curse. He came to Angiel to break his curse. His eyes wander slowly to me, but then he focuses once more on the conversation. To answer your question, though, no, I do not believe my father would send help. He hasn't heard from me since I left a year ago, and he would most likely think me some kind of imposter unless I showed up at the kingdom's doorstep. Even then, he would have too many questions, and we would never get the help we were seeking in time. It seems we can't rely on them for help, then. We all turn to stare at Anise. The fine Lady Anise has suddenly appeared in the margin. What magic is this? I actually just came back. I'm sorry for startling you all, but I found this and I had to bring it back. Her smile fades as she pulls out a flyer for us to see. An announcement? From the look of it, 4 days from now, Alcaster will make a speech about the changes that are to happen in Angiel. Changes? Well, that doesn't sound very promising. It means bad news, but it may be worthwhile to take a look. This might give us some insight into what's happening at the palace. Hildyr is still hiding, but it seems very likely that she could be involved in all of this somehow. They could be plotting something special for that day. Garland and I could go to the event then. We'll make sure not to stand out. I am coming too! Melody. I need to know what is happening. I cannot hide forever, Waltz. I will go, and I do not need anyone's permission to do so. Well, I guess you're technically the next queen after all. Delora, don't encourage her! We both know how stubborn she is. She won't stay put even if we command her to. Delora looks at me and winks. Parfait lets out a heavy sigh. Waltz and Karma will accompany her then. Waltz nods. Karma looks somewhat startled, but eventually nods as well. So, until that day comes, we all need to prepare for the worst-case scenario. I have been practicing my magic non-stop since the day we heard of Alcaster's speech. I continue to work on my barriers while also continuously attempting that one offensive spell Waltz tried to teach me. Okay, remember what I told you. Focus your energy on the tips of your fingers until you feel the current flow through your veins. Okay! Good. Now, try to cast the spell at me again. I stretch out my hand and imagine the energy gathering at my fingertips. I see sparks as I begin to cast the spell. Good, keep going. At the end of my casting time, I could feel the lightning shaking up and down my arms. Now release it. I direct the spell at Waltz with as much strength as I can muster, but it barely touches his barrier before it fades away. I groan. You're getting there, Melody. The magic is weak, but it might still be able to paralyze someone for a time, so long as you hit them when they don't have a barrier up. But the speech is tomorrow. I will not be able to master it by then. You don't need to. Let's not assume things will be so bad. We're only going there to watch a speech. If that's all it is, you won't need your magic. The two of us continue to diligently work, but after a few more rounds, my arms are sore and my mind is foggy. Waltz calls it a day, and the two of us retire to our rooms for the night. I have tossed and turned in my bed for what feels like an hour, but sleep still will not come. It has been almost a month since I last went into town, and it is impossible to not imagine the worst possible scenario for tomorrow. I will probably be awake until the sun rises. I turn to glance at the doll that Waltz gave me so long ago. She sits on my table, her glassy eyes staring back at me. I wonder if he is already asleep. Maybe he can help me calm my nerves. Waltz? There's only silence. Maybe he is already asleep. I am about to leave when the door suddenly opens. Melody? Hello, Waltz. Let me guess, couldn't sleep? I nod. Come in then. I sit on his bed and look around. My eyes shift to his table where I notice a pile of sewing materials and an assortment of puppets. You have been working on your puppets? Yeah, I couldn't sleep either. It's been a while since I last did a show, but I want to make sure my puppets and materials are ready to go once this is all over. I am sure the children are looking forward to seeing your shows again. Yeah. Silence ensues as Walt sits down beside me with one of his puppets. He begins to slowly sew at one of the seams. The silence is deafening. He looks busy, but maybe I should say something. Yeah, of course we should. I am worried about what may happen tomorrow. You think too much, Melody. I do. I stare at the puppets on his table. When this is over, will you finally let me be your assistant? Walt smiles and pats my head. Yes, when this is all over, I'll give you the spotlight. I'm sure the children will love your puppet shows. Talking about what happens afterwards makes me feel normal. It gives me some hope. Hope that eventually everything will go back to normal. I feel better now. Thank you, Waltz. Oh? I'm not even sure I did anything. You have, just by being here with me. You know I'd do anything for you, little star. Little star? There's that nickname again. Does it bother you? No, I was just wondering where it came from. Oh, right, I never told you the story, did I? Back when I was still your mother's apprentice, my life was dull and empty. Then you showed up. Your circumstances were the same as mine, but your light never faded. You became my hope in that dark place, my light. That's why I consider you my little star. I can only stare as Walt smiles at me. Right now, all I want is to stay by his side, to stay within the comforts of his warmth. I look at him, and a thought shifts into my head, tinting my cheeks pink. What is it? Can I stay with you tonight? What? Well, Waltz's face is tomato red. He looks shocked. I can't. It's not that I don't want you to, but he glances away and begins mumbling to himself. I suddenly feel dejected. Don't make that face, little star, Walt sighs. Okay, you can stay. Really? Yeah. Oh, her hair is down. We both lay side by side in bed, shifting only slightly. Waltz is especially stiff. I wonder why. I loop my arms around his waist and snuggle into the crook of his neck. Waltz tenses beneath me. I feel like I'm being punished. What? Nothing. Thank you for letting me stay. My room felt colder than normal tonight. I couldn't help but think about tomorrow and then about father and... My words trail off as I try to focus on Waltz's warmth. Please do not leave me as well, Waltz. Melody, look at me. I move back to look up at him. Waltz stares at me with an intensity that makes it difficult to look away. His features are illuminated by the soft moonlight, making them stand out all the more. My heart skips a beat. I'm not going anywhere, Melody. I will always be wherever you are. I promise to always protect you. I reach out to touch his cheek. Thank you. He smiles at me before putting his arm around my waist and pulling me closer. I snuggle against his chest, taking in his warmth. I eventually fall asleep in his arms. Today is the day. Everyone has been busy preparing for the speech. I was told to relax, and I have used the opportunity to move into the forest and get some fresh air. If only everywhere was as peaceful as this. Melody. I turn around and see Ophelia slowly walking toward me, a hesitant smile on her face. Ophelia! I'm sorry that I cannot be of much help during these distressing times. You've already helped me enough, Ophelia. You supported father when I did not. You have to stay safe, you and the others. You've truly changed. Ophelia takes my hands in hers and looks at me solemnly. Promise me that you'll come back to us. I'll be praying that nothing happens today, but if it does, I beseech you to put your safety first. Ophelia! I may not be your real mother, but you have always been my daughter. Guilt floods through me. I have been cruel to her ever since she first came into our lives, and yet she still treats me so warmly. I do not deserve your kindness after all I have done to you, Melanie, and Rod. I am so sorry. Ophelia pulls me into a hug. Oh, and smooths down my hair. That's all in the past now, dear. What matters now is the present. I nod and close my eyes. I missed out on so many things when I closed my heart up to everyone. I'd always thought I was alone, but I was wrong. Thank you, Ophelia. Sir Alcaster's speech starts in an hour and everyone is making last-minute preparations before we go into town. Ophelia, Melanie, and Anise will stay behind as Rod and Rumple volunteered to watch over them. Delora and Parfait left yesterday to attend a meeting with the fairies. Apparently, they found someone who holds important information about Mother and her plans. Melanie approaches me, her eyebrows creased. Melody, should you see your mother there, what will you do? I haven't really thought about it yet. We are bound to face her sometime soon. I know that she is your mother, Princess, but are you emotionally ready to face her? I am taken aback by her question. Jurian, I apologize for being blunt, but we all have to consider the worst possible scenario, don't we? I need to know that the princess is ready to face her. In a battlefield, one must not hesitate. Jurian continues to look at me, waiting for my answer. I finally face her with determination. I will face her, and I will stop her. But that is all the time that I have. But Chapter 9, The Queen, is where we're going to be starting next time. So, I hope that you liked it, and if you did, hit that like button down below, and don't forget to subscribe as well. I love you guys so much, and I will see you next time. Bye!